White with SportsSpeak Sports. Happy to have Dr. Jimmy Norwood, local Silsbee dentist. How long have you been around Silsbee?
I've been in Silsbee for 40 years. I came in August of 1970.
Okay, 40 years. That's a good deal. Dr. Norwood, you on the football field, you're out there to tell them where the ball is, or what, chain gang or something. What is it?
Right. We're the crew that carry the chain and carries the down box. I carry the down box. I have carried the chains through the years, but in about the last 15 years, I've done the down box. And we actually have a four-man crew. Usually it's 3 men, but we actually have a four-man crew because we have one man who does the clip that shows you where to, when you measure for first down, and also when you have to pull back off the sideline, it allows you to reset the chain accurately.
That's quite active. I tell you, I don't understand how you guys are able to take care of all that.
Well, it's a lot of fun. It does get pretty hectic sometimes, but most of the time it's just a lot of fun. And we've all been doing it for quite some time. I've been doing it the longest, but Bill Wright's been doing it about 15 years, and Jerry Hawthorne's been doing it probably about 8 or 10 years, and Jay Hinkey's been doing it about 10 years.
There you go.
So,
all right. I want to ask you about this long-distance bike riding. I'm probably going to come back to this football thing after a while, but you ride a bike sometimes, don't you?
I haven't ridden it much lately because I've had some heart problems, but I think I've got those straightened out and I can get back to riding it now. But for a while there, I was doing quite a bit of long-distance bike riding.
How far do you ride?
Well, I was going routinely 60 to 80 miles, and sometimes on Saturdays I would go 100.
Do you do any of those, what do you call them, marathons or something?
No, I never did ride a bike with a group. I always liked to ride it by myself because I felt like I was safer that way. I could pay more attention to what was going on around me. I could pay more attention to the traffic, and I just felt like it was safer if I rode by myself.
How do you feel the public? Do they treat you guys right riding those bikes?
The vast majority are kind to you and courteous, but there are some that are not. Too many. Any is too many.
Yeah.
So, but most of the people treat you courteously.
All righty. You do feel it is safe?
It's safe if you do your part to make it safe. There are some people who ride aggressively. I don't ride aggressively. I ride defensively because I may not be real bright, but a long time ago I figured out that in a collision between a person on the bike and a vehicle, you come out a poor second. So I try to ride very defensively, and if I see that there's going to be some sort of conflict between me and the vehicle, I let the vehicle have the right of way, and I get out of the way.
All righty. By the way, I kind of jumped the gun. I want to get back to this officiating.
Right.
Tell me about how many officials do they have out there when they're playing a football?
They have 5. They have 5 officials on the field, and then most of the time the crew that carries the chains, there's 3 most of the time. But we have 4 because we just had another guy that wanted to be on there, and so it's a lot easier to do it that way. The guy who carries the down box doesn't have to fool with the clip. So it just makes it more efficient, more effective.
How about those other officials? There's one up in the booth. What's his
Actually,
job?
there's 2 in the booth. There's one that runs the clock all the time, and there's one that starts the 25-second clock and keeps that going properly. Okay,
now they're different. The guys down out there running out on the field, what are they? What are their titles?
Okay, the one with the white hat is the referee. And
the white hat is the referee.
Is the referee. He stands behind the offensive backfield. And you have on either side, you have 2 linesmen. You have, and they stand even with the line of scrimmage. And the head linesman is the one over on the side where the chain gang is that shows you where to place the ball. It keeps that straight. And the other linesman is on the opposite side of the field. Then you have the umpire who is in the position where the linebackers usually stay on defense. He's in that area there, and he calls holding and lots of different things like that. And then you have the back judge who is in the area where the defensive backfield is. He's back behind the defensive backfield. And his primary function would be to call pass interference in downfield infractions, like illegal blocks and things like that.
How about this, that you say there's one linesman in the defensive side, and he's pretty dangerous position.
He is very much so, and I've seen a number of times I've seen him get injured. Usually he's the biggest guy on the crew, the biggest and the strongest, but I have seen a number of times I have seen the umpire get injured because he's in an area where he has to move around pretty quickly to stay out of the way.
Yes. You remember Randy Stewart, of course. He was a mighty good broadcaster, and when he came there, he'd been a official in Houston football. And I asked him one night, I said, did you ever have to do that out there behind the line? I said, look pretty, yeah. He said, yes, sure did. I said, well, how'd you like it? He said, well, I tried. I said, what happened? He said, boy, he ran over me and put me down. So I painted him right there. Painted him. He's making that call. That's Randy Stewart.
That happens quite often. It's a pretty precarious place to be. I had thought at one time when I was after I got out of dental school, I went into the Army for 2 years, and I had thought about possibly being an official. But then when I got to Silsbee, I got here in 1970, and Silsbee had a really good team going at that time, real good program, and I got into watching Silsbee, and I didn't really want to get into officiating because you can't pick the games you want to see. And you have to start out, first you have to start out in junior high, then you have to start at the lowest levels of the high schools. So I didn't want Silsbee to be playing West Orange Stark for the district championship and me have to do a game up in Chester.
There you go.
So I decided, no, I won't do that. And plus, I really didn't want to take the abuse that the officials on the field take. And so I just later on got to doing the chain instead. That's been a lot of fun. It's been real interesting. You really get to know the other team's coaches quite well because you're on the sideline with them during the whole ball game, and you really get to know them probably better than they want you to know them sometimes.
They talk to you, do you?
They talk to you, but you also get to know what type of people they are on the sideline.
There you go.
And there's some really, really, really good ones, and there's a few that are not quite so good. But there's some really nice. Mostly they're really nice folks, and they're just out there doing their job and doing a good job, and teaching kids how to play football and how to be good people.
Well, let's see. What else you think of something else that you can tell us that we the people don't know?
Probably not much.
That's me. And by the way, what about these Masters Men?
The Masters Men is a group that sings Southern gospel music. We have 9 of us, and that's a little bit more than you generally have in a Southern gospel group.
In a quartet.
Right. We bill ourselves as a Texas-sized quartet.
There you go.
We sing quartet music, which is 4-part music, but we have 2 on each part plus 3 lead singers. So it's a little bit unusual, and it's made up mostly of members of First Baptist Church Silsbee or ex-members of First Baptist Church Silsbee who are possibly now members of other churches. We have one now who's a member of First Baptist Lumberton and one who's a member of Pinecrest Baptist in Silsbee. And old Keith Morgan has been the interim music director at Rosedale in Beaumont for about 10 years now. So I think you taking the interim term a little bit far in this case, because I think he's there permanently. But anyway, we got together. It was about 3 different groups that make up the Masters Men. We had 3 different groups that sang specials around the church, and then we got together and sang a song one time for our church homecoming program. We kind of liked the way it sounded, and the people seemed to like it. So then we started bringing in the big national groups to the church for concerts, and we would go do 3 or 4 songs before they sang their program. People started asking us, why don't you guys do a concert? So we told them that, well, we really don't know enough songs. So they said, well, learn enough. So we did. And we had a concert at the church. They seemed to like it. And so it just kind of went from there. And other churches started asking us to come sing for them. And now we have recorded 9 CDs altogether over about a 12-year period of time. we've just recently, we were featured in a double-page feature in Singing News magazine, which is basically the voice of gospel music in the United States. It's a national magazine, and we were very surprised at that, and we really, really were pleased with it because, excuse me, most non-professional groups are never featured in that magazine. It's mostly for professional groups. So we felt really, really good about that, and we were real pleased to be able to be in that.
You said there a while ago, 2 for a certain part. What do you, now break down that for me. I'm not in much of music.
2 tenors, 2 basses, 2 baritones, and 3 lead singers. So that's
hello, Cowslip.
So that's what our group consists of, and it consists of David Short and myself singing tenor, Keith Morgan, Dwight Short, and Rick Golden singing lead, Mark Fouché and Josh Strother singing baritone, Bill Wright and Wayne Russell singing bass.
All righty, that covered me real good. You got something else you want to add? What you want to talk more about, sports or Masters men?
Doesn't matter, whatever. If you're interested in Masters men, I'm always willing to talk about those guys.
Well, whenever I've heard you a few times down at the church. Now, those other guys from these other churches, what do? Are they there, or sometimes you do it without them?
They're there most of the time. If we have to have 1 or 2 out, we still can do it because we've got enough guys to cover for 1 or 2 if they have to miss.
Well, you're good. I've heard you a few times.
Well, what we feel like our main function is, our main ministry is we can go to the small churches and give them live concerts because we do it for a love offering, and they can't get the big professional groups in because they're too expensive. So we can do that, and we feel like that's a real important part of our ministry.
Good. Okay, thank you. Dr. Jimmy Norwood, local Silsbee dentist for 40 years you've been taking care of.
That's right.
And with the Masters men of the First Baptist Church, also the Tang Gang for the Silsbee Tiger football. Do you do any basketball refereeing?
No, I don't do the basketball.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jimmy.
Leave that to Joe Whitted.
There you go. J.P. White with SportsSpeak Sports. And Cowslip.